Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. Pakistan has supported China's claim that Beijing played a role in easing tensions with India during Operation Sindoor, describing it as a diplomacy for peace and part of a broader international effort. Now, Foreign Office spokesperson of Pakistan, that is Tahir Andrabi, said that the Chinese leadership was in constant contact with Pakistan's leadership and had made certain contacts with the Indian leadership as well in those 3 to 4 days from May 6th to 10th of May, and maybe prior to that and after that. He also said, and I'm going to quote, so I think those contacts, characterized by a very positive diplomatic exchange, contributed in bringing pictures and bringing peace and security in the region. So I'm sure that the Chinese characterization of mediation is correct. This is what Andrabi said. Now, India, however, has maintained that the conflict with Pakistan in May last year was resolved through direct talks between the director generals of military operations of both the countries. So now, first it was Donald Trump, then it was China, which made claims about the mediation, and now it is Pakistan which is backing China's claims. So, will India break its silence now on Operation Sindoor? And Pakistan now backing China on the mediation bid, what does it go to show? And where does it bring India as far as the international diplomacy, especially in the region, is concerned? Joining me this evening is Professor Aftab Kamal Pasha, international affairs expert and diplomat. Thank you so much for joining. We have Professor Mohsin Raza Khan, international affairs expert, joins us. Thank you so much. Pushpraj Deshpande, who's the author of the book called Bharat Jodo Yatra, is a policy expert and works closely with the Foreign Affairs Department of the Congress. And we have Vivek Deshpande, senior journalist and political commentator. Thank you so much for joining. And I'll begin with Professor Pasha. Professor Pasha, what does it mean now that Pakistan is now backing China's claims that it mediated during the Operation Sindoor?
Yes, this I think is a new development in the saga of this Operation Sindoor, where so far only the United States president was claiming that he mediated and brought about the ceasefire, and he has claimed credit for at least 65 plus times. And India obviously has vehemently denied that there was no third party mediation and that militaries of both the countries negotiated and arrived at the ceasefire. But the vehemence and the repetitions from the United States and Trump's assertion in many press conferences, gave the impression that the world is believing in him more than what India has been putting out through the defense and MEA spokesperson. Now, a new player has jumped into the entire episode, this short conflict. It has taken some time for the Pakistanis to come out to the Chinese assertion of their mediation. Foreign Minister of China, Wang Yi, he asserted at a symposium a few days ago. And it's rather belated claim from China. I look at it from two angles. One is China wants to give the impression that it is no less a player in the subcontinent's developments between India and Pakistan, and that it is equally interested in bringing peace, stability in South Asia between two nuclear-armed South Asian powers. With whom with one country, Pakistan, it has all-weather friendship and bilateral relations going back to decades, and a sort of conflictual relations with India. Both countries trying to mend ties after border incursions, etc. So either it is China's, newfound assertive diplomacy, and to present itself as a mediator after the successful mediation in between Iran and Saudi Arabia and their attempts to bring the warring Palestinian factions, including Hamas and PLO in Beijing some time back. And there are several initiatives during Ukraine and North Korean conflict, South Korea, etc., etc. But Pakistan's support to the Chinese opens up, a new horizon because now the Pakistanis have to play a double game. On the one hand, Asim Munir has been invited more than 3 times by the United States, along with Shahbaz Sharif. But now it was given the impression that the Pakistani military is getting closer to the United States and that the civilian government in Islamabad is on the Chinese side. But though both seem to be working in tandem, and they need the support of both because of the CPEC and Belt and Road Initiative and the massive economic assistance which the Chinese have given for the infrastructure development. So, in that way, Pakistan is doing tightrope walking between an old friend of the Cold War era, which has found utility in Pakistan's strategic location, and the Chinese trying to assert in the face of relentless Pakistan and the US friendship that they are not behind as far as their friendship with Pakistan is concerned. It's a worrying situation for India because now we have an additional neighbor who has, been bellicose and quite aggressive on a number of issues apart from the border incursions in Arunachal Pradesh, Ladakh,
Right.
and overall policy. So, in that way, it is sort of a hostile step, which I think the ME and the Defense Ministry or government will see
Right.
that
All right.
China also on Pakistan has stepped in and become competitive in this Indo-Pak conflict.
Right. So, Mohsin, I'll come to you now. That now, after China, now Pakistan also backs the claim of mediation. Doesn't it become all the more essential now for India to break its silence? India has been quiet when it came to Donald Trump. It didn't say anything even when China's foreign minister made these claims about mediation. And now that Pakistan is also backing China, uh, is it not now that shouldn't India break its silence now as to what is really happening?
Absolutely, it should, and it must actually. But now it also depends on how much pressure the Indian media is able to bring on the government. Is the Indian media going to question the government and ask it whether these claims are true, the claims from China, the claims from Pakistan, are these true claims? If not, what did they do? What did they not do? What was the extent? If India kind of what do you call is saying that no, this is not true, then how much of it is true? And my feeling is that the government will be reluctant. They'll try to ignore it and as if it doesn't exist. So unless the media picks it up, and Indian citizens need an answer. I mean, we are not just consumers of propaganda from the BJP. We are also citizens of India. We are worried about India. It's Indian foreign policy. It's not the BJP or Modi's foreign policy that matters to us. Just as it wasn't Rajiv Gandhi's foreign policy or just Manmohan Singh's. It was or Narasimha Rao's. It was India's foreign policy. It was not just Vajpayee's foreign policy. So there has to be some continuity in foreign policy, because after all, we're a big country and our reputation is at stake. We can't be treated like a banana republic, I mean, for its reputation.
No,
We
but
do.
tell me one thing. What does it mean for India now that Pakistan has also backed China's claims, Mohsin? What does it mean for
See,
India
Pakistan,
diplomatically and politically?
see, Pakistan, I'll be honest with you, Pakistan's claims are not critical for India, but China making such a big statement
Hmm.
and then China and then Pakistan kind of corroborating it, how they were in touch with us consistently and a few times with India also. That kind of adds weight. But what really matters is that China is making such claims. We are not some Iran and Saudi Arabia. We are not some Palestine and Israel. We are not some, Thailand and Cambodia or some Burma, whatever. We are a country of 1.4 billion. Okay, we might not be a global power or something, or we may not have a global GDP or something, but we are a massive country, and we have had stability and continuity in our foreign policy. We have had a reputation. हमारे पास एक साख है जो बचाने के लिए. We have an honor to save. We are not like these countries. But problem is, like, we have been pulled into the muck by the current government. We have been pulled into the mud. अब आपने कीचड़ में खींचा है हमें, तो कीचड़ कुछ हमारे ऊपर भी आएगी. When you are wrestling with a pig, it's not to the pig's disadvantage, it's to ours. So we have gotten involved with these countries. Now we have to figure out a way, and if we don't reply, then things will get worse. Tomorrow the same problem can arise with Bangladesh. Day after tomorrow the same problem can arise with I don't know, Nepal or Sri Lanka. I don't know where it's going next. To be honest, I don't know where Indian foreign policy has been going for the last few years. So I don't know what further claims will come forward, because that Nepal also has a land dispute with us, Lipu Lake. Next tomorrow, China could claim that we are in mediating on Lipu Lake between India and Nepal. So I don't know where this is going. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. Bhutan ke saath bhi problem hai, on the Doklam we had a huge thing. So I don't know where this is going. We have to clarify. The government has to clarify.
So the government has to clarify, but it hasn't clarified. That's for a fact. When China made these claims, we had done a program across the platforms, and we were waiting that there would be some reaction. But they were off the cuff here and there, some source-based stories, but no official clarification coming yet. But now, Pushparaj, do you think that after Pakistan has made these claims, would India be forced to make its stand clear, or it will all the more be a reason for India now to neglect it further, just because Pakistan has now jumped into the fray?
See, I agree with Professor Mohsin. Pakistan's claim should not and do not impact the way India reacts. India outstrips Pakistan by a factor of 10. So I wouldn't worry about that. But yes, the Modi government, the Modi doctrine will force the BJP government to react to now that Pakistan has said something. Their entire hawkish foreign policy revolves in and around Pakistan, whether it's for domestic or international purposes. So I have a feeling that now there's going to be some kind of reaction. But to answer your larger point, see, there are only two ways of looking at this. Either there was international mediation or there wasn't. If there wasn't any international mediation, because that has been the traditional stance that India has followed since independence, that we do not tolerate any kind of international mediation, arbitration in bilateral matters, especially with Pakistan. That has been a stance that we have consistently held. And if the government of India has adhered to the Nehruvian consensus that has continued, then they should come out openly and say it, not use these leak-based stories to negate what President Trump said 65 times, and now China has said. And it's not from some mid-level official from China, mind you. It's the foreign minister. Now, even there, it was the president. So it's not a small thing. It's not some off-the-cuff remark. So if the government is genuinely, if there is nothing for them to hide, then they should just come out and openly and say that. The fact that they are not being able to do that means that there is something fishy. Now, as conscientious patriots, we all agreed with Prime Minister Modi and the BJP's source-based stories saying that President Trump was trying to bully Prime Minister Modi, BJP government, to extract greater concessions from India in the US-India trade deal. Fine, we bought that argument. But China has no such compulsion. Under Prime Minister Modi, China has become our biggest trading partner. We import $137 billion worth of goods from China. So China clearly doesn't have any axe to grind against India. And Pakistan, you know what now this has done? Internationally, it has equated India, which was once being equated with China as its competitor. We were seen globally as a democratic counter to China. Today, we are being equated with Pakistan. And these kind of claims repeatedly, they sort of hyphenate India and Pakistan. for both US and China. This is a very dangerous trend. Now, the last point I wanted to make before I stop here, see, I want to make a slightly structural point. Look at how Prime Minister Modi's foreign policy has evolved. In the beginning, he started off with this personalized diplomacy, went and hugged people, and he sat on swings with them, and sort of went and did all these kind of personal statements and gave gifts. I remember he gave the First Lady Biden a huge diamond. I don't know where it came from and what's happened, but the point is that that particular personalized diplomacy was to showcase to his core vote bank here that India is now at par with global leaders. At the same time, he kept doing this Rambo style of diplomacy, Rambo style of foreign policy, where that hum log ghus ke marenge, whether it's in Canada, whether it's in USA, whether it's in Germany. You remember that led to all our raw units, RNAW units, for the first time since 73 being expelled from these countries. That phase was then followed by Prime Minister Modi trying to do this diaspora-led politics, working and colluding with right-wing parties, that he would marshal the diaspora Indians, some of them who were very rich, and they would exclusively work with right-wing parties, whether it's the Tory party in England, whether it was the Republicans, for a fact that he himself campaigned, whether it was in Trinidad, Tobago, and so in AFD in Germany, in France, as well in Amsterdam. He did this, and the overseas friends of BJP was very active in this. That was a phase 2 of BJP's foreign policy. Now they have entered the third phase, where the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. They realize that them putting all their eggs in the American basket has not helped, which is what Dr. Jaishankar was trying. They've realized that Russia is no longer backing you. So now they're floundering. Now they're just reacting knee-jerk. On one hand, and the case in point is Bangladesh. The elections is next week. Next month, my mistake. Now, Jaishankar sir went there to sort of make peace with BNP, who they did not cultivate for the last 11 years. But their right-wing trolls across India, whether it's Suvendu Adhikari, whether it's Himanta Biswa Sarma, today he said, we don't need a pact with Dhaka to push across people. Suvendu Adhikari is going crazy. So the point is that they have no cohesive foreign policy left anymore. And this, as I kept saying in the last show, Professor Mohsin has also said this earlier, this is going to get progressively worse because they do not know, they do not have a vision on what to do next.
I'll come to Vivek now on the political aspect, that now that Pakistan has claimed, or rather backed China's claims that China did mediate. Trump has been saying that it mediated. What is the kind of backlash now you expect within the BJP ecosystem? All the right-wing trolls, like what Pushparaj said, that they were doing a Rambo style of politics all this while. What kind of a backlash do you now expect? Because people would ask the question to BJP and as well as Prime Minister Modi, that now even Pakistan is saying the same thing. Why are we silent? So can there be a backlash from within the BJP?
Yeah, and Nilu, I'm not sure if there will be any backlash from within the BJP, because we haven't seen that till date. And I don't think anybody in the BJP will muster the courage to kind of ask any questions to Mr. Narendra Modi or anybody in the foreign policy establishment. I think the BJP as a party will always stand behind Mr. Modi because of various compulsions that we all have discussed so many times earlier. Coming to this China and Pakistan revelations, I think we have the abiding question is, why are they saying it now after so many months? I mean, if there was any mediation by China, then why China decided to use this particular time after so many months to disclose it or kind of claim it? And it seems very well coordinated, well rehearsed, and well choreographed thing between China and Pakistan, that you say this and then we will say this. This kind of understanding seems to have come up between the two countries, and they have done it with some strategy, with some intention. What is that intention? Why have they said it now? Why didn't they say it earlier? That's the question. Mr. Trump has been saying it for so many months, ever since operations. I mean, before we closed the war with the short war with Pakistan, Trump had claimed it, and he continues to claim even now. But Pakistan and China, they didn't say anything like that for so many months after Operation Sindoor. So this timing is very important. We have to decode the importance, and maybe the foreign policy establishment in India does know about it. Why are they saying it now? And depending on that will be their response. I think, if at all they choose to respond, they will respond on the basis of the knowledge of intention behind this well choreographed Chinese and Pakistani assertions and claims. So what happens? See, the whole international order is almost like broken. I mean, there is something called rule-based international order, and we haven't seen anything of that type happening actually on the ground anywhere in the world. Across the world, rules are being broken, and China itself is now trying to say that we will attack Taiwan. I mean, not in so many words, but they have also undertaken a military exercise around Taiwan. And Japan has said that if at all China will do any misadventure in Taiwan, we will be with them. Are we in a position to defend ourselves if China does that to us? Of course, China will not open so many fronts simultaneously. Their priority may be Taiwan, possibly, and then maybe Arunachal Pradesh will come much later, if at all they decide to do anything about that. But in that case, can we actually afford to take on the combined alliance of China and Pakistan? I think it's very difficult for India to confront both the nations together, uh, because we depend on our economic side. We depend so much on China. We need so much of Chinese inputs for our economy that it's become very difficult for us to thwart any Chinese aggression. And our prime minister was on record saying that nobody has entered India. He's so afraid of China. So this whole hawkish postures they show on the surface are actually they are scared from within. That's very obvious. And these misadventures they have undertaken in countries like they're accused of having undertaken in countries like Canada and USA. I think they have landed themselves nowhere in this whole process. And what happens on top of it, when the internal politics of the country is so much, I mean, there's so many disturbances within the country. The opposition is not on your side because you have kind of battered them. You have hounded them so much over the last 10, 11 years that there is no internal coherence among all Indian political parties. So when you have harassed the opposition parties no end, when it comes to national security, when it comes to confronting the outside world, it becomes very difficult for India to come up as one nation and thwart any challenge to it. So you have disturbed the situation internally, you have disturbed the situation externally, and you are landing nowhere in between. So that's the situation which Mr. Narendra Modi has created with the help of some, I don't know who are his advisors on foreign policy, but maybe there must be some RSS people who have certain idea of how to go about in world affairs. Though they are claiming that they're almost like close to becoming Vishwaguru, we are actually far from it. We have come several notches down from where we were before 2014. So I think it's a very difficult challenge. See, it doesn't. If it affects Mr. Modi and the BJP, that's not a problem. But because it affects India as a whole, as a country, then it becomes a problem. So I think it's not the personal fiefdom of Mr. Narendra Modi or and some organizational fiefdom of the Sangh Parivar. India's foreign policy must be centered around the interest of India as a whole and Indians as one lot. That is not unfortunately happening since 2014, as a result of which we are seeing everybody raising eyebrows at us and anybody trying to threaten us, be it Nepal, a small nation like Nepal, or a big country like China. So I think on all the fronts, we are confronting a very difficult situation thanks to Mr. Narendra Modi and his foreign policy. Neelu.
All right. So since the time this story has broken, we haven't seen any reaction coming in from the Ministry of External Affairs. At least so far, I haven't seen that, and we also don't know whether at all India's foreign ministry will react on this or not. Will there be any statement from any of the BJP spokespersons? But this does make India look diplomatically quite weak. And of course, all the questions remain whether we'll at all come to know whether there was any kind of mediation during Operation Sindoor. Now, coming for the final round of questions, Professor Pasha, to you, what has it done to India's image now? And will we ever get answers about, or rather any sort of clarity as far as Operation Sindoor is concerned? Very briefly, because this is my final round of questions, so I'll sum up the program then. Yeah. Yes, Professor
Yeah,
Pasha.
I don't think there will be clarification, if at all. Like in the case of US, they will deny that any third-party mediation has taken place, and they will continue to assert that it is the two militaries who discussed and negotiated. But you see, the situation, if you look at it from their point of view, they are doing well. So far under American pressure and American assertion, nothing has changed. There's no trade agreement. There's no meeting between the two presidents, and there's no that kind of friendship which Narendra Modi expected. So there is this fine line of strategic autonomy which they are trying to highlight. On the other hand, Modi and his government cannot sell China, because China has been presented as an enemy which is grabbing our territory, and the continuation from 62 and Arunachal Pradesh. The Indian citizen who was detained in Shanghai, so on and so forth. So it's very difficult for India to present China as a friend and a cooperator in BRICS, etc. So in that way, they are trying to say that we are navigating through a very difficult global situation. On the one hand, a very assertive United States and a neighbor, futuristic superpower. But my fear is, tomorrow Saudi Arabia may claim that we are friends with Pakistan and India also, and we also negotiated. You remember when Atal Bihari Vajpayee was prime minister, he had massed troops on the Rajasthan border in 2001, and the foreign minister was sent, Saudi foreign minister, and he was not given appointment for 3 days. And his main visit was to talk to India and not to attack Pakistan. So in that way, Saudi Arabia also, after some time, may come and claim that we also mediated to bring peace between the two
Right.
nuclear giants, but to actually prevent India's further attacks on Pakistan. So in that way, they think that we can see who is our real friend and who is our supporter of strategic autonomy. So in that way, they are playing it safe, according to me.
Right. Okay. So, Pushpraj, now, how do you think America would react? Now, America, so far, only Trump had been claiming that it was he who mediated between Pakistan and India. Now, China claiming it, and of course, Pakistan now supporting it. How do you think US might react to this? Or they would think they would just pass it off?
That's actually a very interesting question. And frankly speaking, if there was some continuity in the US administration, foreign policy, and the State Department, I could have hazarded a guess. But there is President Trump at the helm. And I don't think anyone in his administration also knows what he will say next. But let me also say that given what's happening in Venezuela, in West Asia, and in Ukraine, it is very obvious to careful watchers that the US has sort of recreated this primordial rules of statecraft, saying that powerful nations who have hard power can have spheres of influence. So he's left, in a sense, Israel to West Asia. He's left Ukraine and Central Asia to Europe. And he himself, the President Trump, sees his sphere of influence as South America and Canada, Greenland, so on and so forth. Now, in this particular instance, where does that leave South Asia? Ideally speaking, given its size, given our size, given our, I mean, economic, geopolitical heft, ideally speaking, India should be. I'm not endorsing this particular view, but we should have been the natural beneficiaries of this particular warped school of thought. However, President Trump is basically hedging Pakistan against India, and the fact that most of these Gulf nations, in collusion with the United States and Israel, are supporting Pakistan, they're signing military pacts with Pakistan. It is, I mean, what bigger failure of foreign policy can Prime Minister Modi and Dr. Jaishankar have delivered India? They have made Pakistan a failing and flailing state, which is constantly being appended by the by every few years. I mean, they threw Prime Minister Imran Khan into jail, and I mean, now of course there is a puppet regime. The Field Marshal Munir sort of yields power there, but a flailing state has now become so-called equal to a hegemon like India, and that too in South Asia. I mean, do you realize? And this is completely Prime Minister Modi and Dr. Jaishankar's doing. Nepal, the only Hindu nation in the world, does not want to have a conversation with us. Same thing with Bangladesh, whose independence we were involved in birthing. Sri Lanka, Bhutan. I mean, this is Myanmar, who the indigenous parties of Myanmar are also saying that they're not satisfied with the stand that India is taking with regard to their elections that happened on December 28th. And of course, Pakistan. So my point is that, and I can't remember, Seychelles or Maldives, I can't remember, but someone asked our armed forces to leave that nation. So my point is that in every nation in the neighborhood in South Asia, which should have been our natural sphere of influence, Prime Minister Modi has completely undermined our national interest.
Right. Of course, our national interests look compromised now. But Vivek, as far as Operation Sindoor is concerned, is it like a full circle now? It started with Donald Trump, then China making claims, and now Pakistan also backing what China has been saying. So it's like a full circle of silence, and it exposes India big time.
Yeah, of course, Niru, as I said previously, we must find out why China and Pakistan have decided to choreograph this at this juncture. There must be some intention behind it. And possibly the foreign relations establishment in India and Mr. Modi very well know about it, what exactly is their intention. So it all depends. We must know what exactly is going on that front between India and all these other players. So unless there is some decoding of the intention behind this this fresh attempt by China and Pakistan to kind of put India in a spot, we will not be able to get to the bottom of this case, and we have to find out what exactly is their intention. Unless we do that, as citizens of India, we will never be able to understand the dynamics behind what is being done to India now. We haven't become. I mean, what Mr. Modi and his establishment has done is he has put the cart before the horse. I mean, we should have first become a power to reckon with, which we haven't, and after that we could have asserted ourselves. But Mr. Modi and his foreign establishment advisors are actually going to the town with this claim that wherever Mr. Modi speaks, the world listens. And even the RSS is now saying that, which is far from being true. So on the international front, only flexing intellectual muscles doesn't help. You need to have those muscles, actually physical muscles, which we haven't acquired yet, and we are going to the town with this claim of being Vishwaguru. And India as a whole is actually paying the price for it. What happens next, we don't know, because as I said, we are not living in a rule-based international order. We are living in a rule-broken or rule-bent international order. In that case, anybody can get into any kind of misadventure with anyone. In this kind of a situation, we must weigh our options very carefully. We should be very careful not to indulge in any misadventure anywhere. And that's the lesson we have to learn. But Mr. Modi and his foreign establishment says that we will repeat what we have done in Operation Sindoor should Pakistan undertake any misadventure in India next. So in that case, I think we are left with no options but to just wait and watch what unravels before us next. So clearly a very, very difficult situation for ordinary Indian citizens to understand and guess, right, Nilu?
And that's why people are saying that foreign policy could become Modi government's undoing maybe in the days to come. So we'll have to wait and watch. Thank you so much, Professor Pasha, Vivek, Pushpraj. Thank you so much for joining.